Since 1972 in the US, a law known as Title IX has prohibited the sex discrimination that used to be endemic in education.
Even in mixed-sex schools, they would schedule advanced math and advanced English, for example, at the same time. Well, guess who took the math and guess who took the English?
Like all federally funded schools in the US, Collins Middle School in Salem, Massachusetts, is strictly coeducational. This may be about to change. The Title IX regulations have recently been loosened. Collins head teacher Mary Manning plans to use the opportunity to try out voluntary single-sex classes for the lower grades, the school's 11 and 12-year-olds.
This was something for many years I wanted to try to do, but it would have been, quite frankly, bucking a lot of red tape to get to do it. When, lo and behold, last November they opened these gates, myself here and many people in other parts of the country, I think, were like, well, this opens the opportunities.
Collins has nearly 700 students, many of them recent migrants. 33 languages are spoken here. Students do well academically. Mary Manning believes they could do better.
My thought is to give them a break from each other so that when we're trying to help them address issues of pre-algebra or algebra or physical science, they can maybe do that in a venue that doesn't have them also having to address issues of am I impressing him or her, or am I looking silly to him, or am I acting grown up enough even though I don't feel like it? All of the trappings of being a young teen in these times.
I think that the discussion of whether or not some single-sex classes or schools will advantage or help girls in some cases or boys in others is a good discussion to be having. But I think that when the expectation is that the discussion will lead to a simple one-size-fits-all answer, that's where we go in the wrong direction.
Answer me this question.
But work on gender at Collins isn't confined to the single-sex issue. These 11-year-olds are embarking on a voyage of discovery. Their teachers, June Casal and Mark Harrison, don't explain what the stars are for. They aim to have the children experience and then be able to identify gender discrimination.
Inequity. What do you think it could mean then? Mia?
Not equal.
Not equal. You got it. For instance, say we started talking about discriminating on gender. Maybe I have a bias. Maybe I favor boys more than girls and I don't even notice. And you should challenge if I have a bias. Right now, we're going to read a story. If you have a star on your forehead, you're going to get a book. If you do not have a star, go underneath one of the tables that are in the room, and you don't get a book, but you get to listen. I do have extra books, but you know what? The only way you get a book is if you have a star. Sorry.
The star probably teaches.
I think that we have a responsibility as a school, as educators. I think I have a responsibility. We need to put racism on the table. We need to put gender issues on the table. We need to put homophobia on the table. Instead of just punishing them if they do something wrong about it, our job is to help them understand it and then help them learn how to do it right.
I'm going to go over some questions about that story. I want everybody to participate, so you need to be recording your answers. Everybody in the middle okay? Jennifer, you're okay? Jonathan, you can poke out and see the questions up there, can't you?
Yeah.
All right, well, what are you sitting there doing nothing?
I'm trying to see what I could write with.
Well, you have a pen, right?
I'm going to use my hand.
Well, I don't care what you use, but if you're in class, right? You're supposed to be participating? Well, then record the answers. Let's go. You guys got to figure it out. I don't know what the problem is. Everybody in the middle is doing fine. So, before we move on, somebody tell me what inequity means again. Shayna.
To be unfair.
To be unfair. None of that's going on right now, is it?
Yeah.
You think there's inequity in this classroom right now?
Yeah.
What's not fair?
People with the stars on their forehead have the paper to write on, but the other people under the table have to write on their hands.
I don't see it. Everybody's got the questions. Everybody heard the story.
Last year, we began in the
These teachers are new to Collins. They've been invited to join Mary Manning in her ongoing consultation with staff about whether or not to offer voluntary single-sex classes at some point in the future.
I want to bring you, as the new people in the community, up to date on a process that we undertook last year, really exploring the issue of having gender-based classes, same-sex classes, both from academic reasons and for social reasons. The options that we did come up with was to do this in academic classes and not in specialist classes, so that students would have some experience every day in a mixed class. That's not a decision, though. All of your ideas, which are as important as the ideas we already have, will be... We process everything as a group. We move slowly, I think, on things sometimes compared to other schools. You know, if we're going to change something, we talk about it, we mull about it, we put the ideas together, and we come up with a decision. There are about 110 professional staff people here. They're bringing 110 different experiences to this question.
We know that it's easier to teach a class of girls. I've taught full classes of just boys, and boys of sort of a lower income level, and, you know, it was insane.
Once you start separating, you're going against the inclusion model. What is the consequence socially? So you're taking them out, they're just interacting with their own gender, and then say 6 years down the line, all of a sudden they're out in the real world, quote real world, and now they're interacting with both sides. What's that consequence? That's my question.
Many times I really want not to have that mixed sex group. I really would like mixed gender group. Would like to have the time to work with the girls and the time to work with the boys so that they can focus on learning and not on each other and hair and makeup and who's doing what.
There's often a different rapport, male teacher to male student than male teacher to female student or vice versa. Oftentimes I know I can joke with my male students in a different manner than I can with the female students as far as sarcasm goes. Boys, you know, that's part of being boys, we can take it. I mean, with girls, you know, it's kid gloves.
You guys read the directions. If you need help, call one of us over.
As the class progresses, the children are split into groups and given tasks. Those with stars on their heads get enjoyable jobs with status. Those without stars aren't so fortunate.
Okay. You are nurses at a hospital and the babies at the table are in your care. Do the following. Each person must cradle and rock a baby at the table for 4 minutes to help them fall asleep. Okay.
All right, you have 5 minutes starting now to complete your task. If you have a star on your head, if you need help, call us over. If you do not have a star, you're going to have to figure it out. Do you guys get what you have to do?
We have to build an office building with 2 floors to fit 120 employees.
120 employees. What is your job title? What are you guys?
We're architects.
As long as you have your idea of what the building's going to look like, put it together. There's Legos in there, too. If you need help, let me know. Good luck.
Come on.
Those babies are still awake. If I can hear them crying, that means they're not sleeping. Your job is to get them. I can hear them. You can't hear it quiet. Maybe that's the problem. You have 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left. If you want to get paid for your job, you need to get it done. Ms. Casal will pay you.
Okay, so the cleaning was done? Okay.
I'll tell you what. I will tell you something about the cleaning. It wasn't done that well, though.
No, I know. So that's all they're
I still have chalk on my hands, so yeah. I'm not impressed at all.
Get a little something.
It's better than nothing, at least.
We're very impressed. We knew that you guys knew a lot about sports. Okay, here's your pay. A lot of pay there for you guys, okay? Are your babies asleep? You don't know? Okay. Well, here's your pay.
I'm a hardworking mother.
All right, so here's your money, all right, for all your hard work. Okay? Thank you.
We only have $200. He's supposed to get his share.
Yeah, I know, but because one of them probably didn't fall asleep. Spending time with the kid is more than money. Yes.
It's okay to be...
For Collins, tackling sexism, racism, and other inequities is a continuous process.
It's okay for them.
These teachers and counsellors are meeting to share their observations of behaviour that troubles them.
A little girl walks into a classroom and you hear the sly sexual remarks and undertones coming from the boys about the girl's anatomy. And a little girl almost feeding into it because she doesn't know how else to handle it. And she would laugh too and accept that treatment. And it's only when we intervene that the girl feels free to say something.
There's a game out there of how many boys can slap how many girls on their rear end. And it's become a game, and I didn't even know that was going on. Never saw somebody trying to add up on their fingers how many rear ends they touched.
I'm amazed that they are just so cavalier about the boys hitting the girls hitting the boys, even the girls within each other.
I mean, walking down the hallways this year, punching each other. Yeah, they really, and they think it's acceptable. When you call them on it, they 100%, all of them. We're just kidding. I'm just joking.
And I'm seeing far more boys who seem to be victims of what I consider to be rather abusive relationships, even in the hallways.
Physical or emotional?
Pick up my books. I drop my books. Pass this paper in. I don't want to get out of my seat. Almost boys who have turned into puppy dogs. I really can't say that I've seen that before.
Okay, you need to bring your chair back to the circle. We're going to process what we did today. How did it feel to have a star in your head?
It made me feel important.
It made me feel proud.
Made you feel proud? You felt proud?
I don't know what I did, so I don't know why I got a star. And the other people, I don't know why they didn't get a star, so.
Okay, you have this little feeling, it's like, you know what? It doesn't really feel right. But you also didn't take the star off your head. Right? Was there an equity in the tasks that you were completing?
The sportcaster was the easiest job, and they got the most payroll, and the maid was the hardest and dirtiest job, and they got the least payroll.
The hardest and the dirtiest, and they got the least. If you had to think of these jobs in terms of who does them, if you think of maid, dinner host, nurse, what do you think of? And what do you think of, Jamie?
I think of hard workers.
Hard workers? Do you think of gender? Does gender come across there?
Yeah.
What?
Woman, female.
So, raise your hands if you agree with that. Everybody agrees with that, all right?
I have a question for the movers. The movers got paid $320. How did you guys split up that money?
First we got each 100.
Yep.
And then Shayna and Mia decided that they should give me the other 20 because they said because I'm the guy.
And what did you think about that?
I was grateful, but if I could split the money to them too, and for me I would, but it was just the 20.
So it was the two of you? Can you explain how come you decided to give him the 20? Because Dennis made a comment that you gave him the more money because he was the guy. Do you think that he did more work because he was a guy?
Yeah, because
We got to open those doors for kids at this age, because this is the age where they're old enough to understand what they're saying if you point it out to them and help them get past it. It's the age where they're just starting to be old enough to understand why they're feeling these things, or why these feelings have been passed down sometimes.
We have Jonathan here, and what are people doing already? Okay, all of a sudden there's people laughing. Jonathan is rocking a baby. We've already said that the nurse position you said is feminine, so why laughing? Justin.
Usually a woman does that. My mom always rocks my baby brother to sleep, not my dad.
Okay.
My dad usually just watches TV and
We're at the stage, and you're in 6th grade, that you're starting to form some prejudice about gender. Be honest, how many people think they would poke fun at Jonathan?
Oh, okay.
All right? Yeah. When you're laughing, you got to think about your own thinking. All right? Is there a bias or a prejudice or stereotype in my head? Why am I laughing at that? So if Robbie goes, I'm opening a hair salon tomorrow, and everybody starts laughing, maybe you should stop. Maybe the laughter might be a good way for you guys to realize, I got to stop and think about why I'm laughing. Those are things to think about. You guys did awesome today.